A very warm welcome to IDFC First Bank presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 12. I'm Ritwika Gupta, and today I'm here at this stunning property of SaffronStays here in Karjat, bringing to you an exclusive conversation and a deep dive into India's hospitality industry. On the show today, I'll be first chatting with Devendra Parulekar, founder of SaffronStays, to understand opportunities for MSMEs in India's hospitality sector. And in the second segment, a conversation lined up with Caroline Mulliez, founder and CEO of the Blue Kite, an emerging home development company based in Goa. So much, Devendra, for joining us today here on Leaders of Tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you for hosting me here.
We're going to have a great conversation on hospitality. Starting with, the segment, it did see kind of a setback, right? During the COVID years, and right now, of course, we are well into 2024. But I just want to get a sense, what are the opportunities do you see in the travel and hospitality sector?
I think COVID was a game-changing year or set of years for us.
Yeah.
It did more to our brand and a company and the business because the segment of private villas or alternative accommodation is no longer alternative any longer. It's actually mainstream. Conventional hospitality industry or hotel, the number of rooms that are getting added as we speak versus the demand that exists for hotel rooms or hospitality, it's, there's a huge gap. And that gap has been readily and most happily being filled in by alternative accommodation.
Right.
Having said that, during COVID, for us, a lot of word of mouth marketing happened because of a lot of the guests who understood the concept of privacy and exclusivity that a villa offers to guests.
Right.
And that's where a lot of groups, families started looking for private villas.
Nice.
In fact, I can safely say that conventional audiences of 5 stars started looking for luxury villas and were open to the idea of staying in a villa over a hotel.
Right.
And COVID did this transformation for us.
Right. So, just picking up from what you said, so we have these 5-star hotels, we have these affordable housing like your Oyos and Airbnb as well. I understand you have about 290 holiday homes, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So, do you believe this is an untapped market?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, if you look at the segment, most of these homes are owned by the ultra HNIs, right? And the HNIs also, or the aspirational Indians, want to stay in homes like this, but may not be necessarily wealthy enough or probably not lucky enough to inherit a house, or may not be, or maybe a little more practical to understand that there are difficulties of owning and maintaining a house. Right. So they have not made that investment, right? But they still want to have or enjoy a holiday in a villa like this. So this segment is only going to explode. And because there is demand which is coming, more supply is coming into the market. So a lot of people who were sitting on land parcels who didn't know what to do with it suddenly have discovered the value of building a private villa because they know there is a professional operator like us who's going to come in and maintain the property and also monetize the property.
Right.
So earlier this was a massive barrier in their minds that if I build one, who will maintain it? Who will manage it? And we all know that in the first few years of building a home, you enjoy it and then you kind of lose interest and you stop going.
Absolutely.
But that problem is solved. So I think there's more supply coming in and there is more demand coming in. It's almost like a virtuous cycle which is feeding into itself.
Right. You spoke about alternate accommodation, and I at this point want to understand your business model.
Yeah.
So would you call yourself an operator of homestays, or are you an aggregator? How does it work?
Oh, we are an operator. Like any realtor that owns a hotel building, and an operator like a Taj or a Marriott or somebody else comes in as an operator to manage that property. The same way, if you are a private villa owner, we sign a contract, a revenue sharing contract or a management share contract or whatever terms of agreement that we have for a period of 5 or 7 years. And then we operate, run, manage, brand, market, monetize the home. So SaffronStays, for all practical purposes, becomes like an operator, the homeowner takes a back seat, and the customer only directs or has interactions with SaffronStays as a brand.
Right. Okay. I also, just before the interview, I was telling you about Leaders of Tomorrow. It's watched by a lot of independent entrepreneurs, smaller businesses. I want to understand, how do smaller businesses, play a role in your supply chain? What role, and in a larger picture, what role do MSMEs play in the hospitality sector?
So right from our PR agency to our digital marketing agencies to our facilities management firms that we tie up with, to our vendors who provide us linen, to our vendors who provide us even toiletries. I think we work with SMEs across our entire value chain.
Sure.
And they become an integral part of our value chain. Even the photographers, the video storytellers, everybody. So I don't think I can cut away from this entire chain in any manner whatsoever. I'm dependent on them.
Right. A major catalyst in the tourism and hospitality industry has been technology over the last few years, especially. And, India has also been going through a tech transformation, right? How do you think India's digitization drive is impacting this sector?
At the outset, I must say that the first transformation that happened was again during COVID.
Yeah.
You found that all our villas, earlier none of our villas used to even have Wi-Fi.
Okay.
But what happened during COVID is because the customers started demanding for Wi-Fi in all our homes because they wanted to work from our homes.
Right.
All our villas are now enabled with Wi-Fi broadband. Now you will say, how does this make a difference? It makes a difference because I can now digitize every part of my ecosystem. So my caretaker has an app that he uses to do all his check-in, check-out, all of the processes, the ID verification, everything, right down to my supervisors who operate across properties. They are digitally enabled. My homeowners who want to see their financial statements and check-in details and their numbers of occupancy, and so they have an app.
Yeah.
So pretty much the entire ecosystem is completely now digital.
Yeah.
Now the piece which remains, which is the customer facing.
Yeah.
We chose to stay away from the app, but what we did is we deployed in the last 1 year, particularly ever since ChatGPT and large LLMs have come in.
Yeah.
We've deployed AI bots pretty much for handling everything. So 9 out of 10 customer queries are being handled by an AI bot to 100% satisfaction, and only the real complicated ones are being handled by humans.
Right.
Likewise, 45% of my sales are now handled by an AI bot. So the customer has no clue, that they're talking to an AI bot. And of the 45, there's actually no human involvement in 1/3 of those. There's just nobody, right? So digitization for us is now turned full circle, where earlier when we were purely a disconnect brand, where you come to a villa to disconnect, to now nobody wants to disconnect. They want to remain in touch with the world.
Right.
So we've embraced it wholeheartedly, and we said this technology is here to stay, and it's become a game changer for us.
Fantastic. Devendra, I also read that 35% of your workforce are women employees, right? Could you talk to us about that? Was that a deliberate decision?
Yeah. So it's by accident.
Okay.
There's no deliberate action behind it.
Okay.
Between the two of us as founders, Tejas is my wife, so clearly 50% gender, split. Incidentally, out of our 140 employees that we have, 35, you gave the stats correct.
Yeah.
35% are women.
Yeah.
But from a leadership team of 15 people with the top guys, the marketing heads and the acquisition head and finance head and all, 55% are women. So typically converse happens where women are more at the lower end of the organization. You find a lot of women, but due to various reasons, they drop out from the workforce. In our case, it's exactly the opposite. The interesting metric that we also look at is these are our corporate employees who work from our office. But what about the employees of the caretakers at the villa and the staff at the villa? We noticed that 20-25% of our staff here are women. Okay. And these are all rural, internal villages. So all these 1,000-1,200 people that we have across all our homes, they are all from the local villages.
Right.
20% of them are women, and mostly they are cooks and chefs who are, dishing out all the home cooked food that, we like to serve.
Nice. Then what advice would you have for entrepreneurs, or smaller businesses who want to get into the same space as you are, who want to achieve the same level of success as you have in the hospitality industry? What are the 2-3 things they need to keep in mind?
I think as entrepreneurs, the overnight success happens after 10 years. So I think if anybody comes and tells you that you want to become an entrepreneur to get rich overnight, forget it. Okay, you will at every stage of your journey as an entrepreneur, you're going to be facing curveballs coming your way. Today it could be GST, tomorrow it could be some labor issues, third day it could be some issues on sexual harassment cases within the company. It could be anything. I mean, I'm not saying that all that happened in the organization, but I'm saying there is just so much out there that we don't know of.
Yeah.
There are known knowns, there are known unknowns, and there are unknown unknowns. And as an entrepreneur, the only trait or 2 traits that you need to have. One, figure out ability, which is whatever curveball comes our way or my way, I'll be able to figure out my way out. And second, which is a flip side of how figure out ability comes in, is grit and determination to just lage raho munna bhai.
Absolutely.
Just be there, hang on, your time will come, right? But it's not a 2-year, 3-year story. TV channels and the print media always celebrate the unicorns who have made it in 3 years, 4 years, and rarely talk about successful entrepreneurs who have hung on for 20 years and then eventually built mega fortunes and mega businesses. But that's the compounding effect is the way to go.
I agree. Finally, tell me, what is your vision for SaffronStays going forward? Do you have expansion plans? What can you tell us?
So, my dream for the company SaffronStays is to leave behind a legacy in the space of hospitality, to be known as the finest in this space, to build out a luxury brand, a homegrown India-based luxury brand, which will eventually be across the world for all of us Indians who are traveling across the world to stay in a SaffronStays home, where we will give you Indian food, where we will give you Indian hospitality so that you don't miss home, but it will be available every corner of the world at some stage, someday.
Well, I wish you all the very best. Thank you so much for chatting with us today.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's time for a quick break here. We'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 12. In this segment, we extend our in-depth analysis of the hospitality industry to uncover opportunities in both retail and hospitality. I'll be shortly joined live by Caroline Mulliez, founder and CEO of the Blue Kite, an emerging home development company based in Goa. Caroline also serves as a board member of Decathlon France and has played a vital role in expanding Decathlon's presence in India. Thank you so much for joining us today, Caroline.
Pleasure to be invited and to contribute.
Caroline, you have a deep experience in retail. You spent 6 years here in India to run operations and expand Decathlon in India. I would love to hear your take on the retail industry here. What unique challenges and the biggest opportunities, do you find in India's retail sector?
Right. I'll start with the opportunities. So when I got to India 10 years ago, there weren't too many international brands in India. And so it was really a blue ocean. And especially in sports retail, we didn't have much competition. And I think although today there are a lot more players, the market is still very vast. And as consumers are more and more buying from the organized market, there is so much opportunities for international players and local players to expand their retail operations. So the biggest challenges for us were the cost of real estate, the rentals that we would have to pay for stores, And when you put that in front of the spending of customers, there was a bit of a disconnect. So yeah, real estate cost and then navigating the regulatory environment were two of the biggest challenges, I would say.
Just out of curiosity, what inspired you to stay in India, Caroline?
I think India right now is a very exciting market. I mean, it's one of the fastest growing markets in the world. And in that sense, it provides young entrepreneurs an incredible opportunity to try, test, fail, and start again. And so this is why I was excited to stay, and I'm still excited to be here.
Wonderful. On that note, can you share your vision for the Blue Kite? How do you see it evolving in the next few years within India's hospitality sector?
So just to recap a little bit on what we do. So in general, the hotel segment within the hospitality sector is really well segmented, and the offer is very consistent. You have anything from 1 star to 5 star. When we talk about the rental industry, the rental segment within hospitality, you have a large gap to fill between your very expensive serviced apartment that you would get from a Hyatt and the Airbnb you would rent from an individual owner, where you wouldn't be sure whether you're going to get soap or a clean bed sheet. And so this is what we do at the Blue Kite: is we offer reliable and consistent services when people rent a home. And that is as far as housekeeping services, the amenities that we offer, and with just the general services that we give to the guests are consistent. Today, we're operating in the north, in Shimla, Nainital, in Delhi. The core of our operation is still in Goa, where we started operating with Vayanar. I still think we have a lot to do in India. There's just a massive opportunity in front of us to just take more of the market share, basically.
Right. Caroline, tell us, what are the main challenges that smaller businesses face in India's hospitality segment? And are you collaborating with smaller business at the Blue Kite?
Yeah, I think, I mean, there are many challenges. There is competition, but really, I think the biggest challenge is to navigate the regulatory environment, which keeps changing. And so keeping aware of what are the new licenses one needs to get and organizing yourself to get them within the right time frame. This is really important. We work a lot with a full ecosystem of businesses, small businesses around us, being the laundry vendor. We work with Wash Factory. We work with Cycling Zen for cycling tours. We work with Konkan Explorer for cruise. And so a business like us that works in hospitality can only survive by relying on this whole ecosystem of small businesses around us. And I think, yeah, we will continue working with players around us, and this is really important for our survival.
Right. So, with sustainability becoming such a big deal across sectors, how do you make sure your venture stays aligned with sustainable practices and, just keep up with innovation?
So renting homes isn't a carbon intensive activity. What we must do is make sure that our users are aware when they're consuming electricity. And so we've installed a master switch in most of our property where when the guests leave, they can turn off everything at once. We segregate waste. We make sure there is no use of single-use plastic. These are the small bits that we can do. I think the bigger picture is that when people travel to come on holiday to Goa, taking a flight is actually quite carbon intensive. And so the dream would be to partner with organizations that do carbon offsetting, for instance, planting trees and things like that. We haven't found such organizations yet. So what we try and do right now is at least to make people discover nature and enjoy time in nature, like, for instance, cycling or doing kayaking tours, because I think once you enjoy time in nature, you want to protect it. You want to maintain it to the level that it is or improve it.
So what strategies have you found the most effective, for scaling a business in a competitive market like India?
There are two main key enablers in India to grow a business. The number one is people. And beyond just, having standard operating procedures and training people, it's about making them responsible for the decisions that they make, really empowering them to make decisions in their day-to-day operations without having to go back up and ask for permissions to do things. And so that's really key, making them entrepreneurs within your business so that they can grow a region, they can grow a site without your intervention, because you can't micromanage. The other thing is tech and making sure that people are focused on what they're strong at. If your guest relationship manager is only doing admin and not taking care of the guest, well, here you have a problem. And so the idea is to really facilitate everybody's role by giving them the tech to resolve their everyday challenges. And as we build tech, make sure you build it for not the size that you have today, but the size that you'll have tomorrow. So whatever asset we've been building, as far as our app or we have a content management system, we build it for 1,000 homes, although we only have 250 today, to make sure that as we grow, we won't have a bottleneck in the tech.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Caroline. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much.
And with that, it's a wrap on this episode of IDFC First Bank Presents Leaders of Tomorrow Season 12. We hope you enjoyed the conversations. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.